Tuesday night. It's 9:30, and it's time to go behind the hedges. I'm Mitch. This is my partner. There he is, Mr. Ducati. Matt, you look troubled, buddy.
Do we want to go behind the hedges tonight? Do you want to see what's back there?
I think it's our responsibility to show the people what's behind the hedges.
It's our responsibility to show the people pain and suffering, the likes of which no other fan base knows.
Before we do that, let's remind the people that, first of all, we're going to need you to go ahead and hit us up on YouTube and like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Leave us a comment. We've already got a comment here. It says, "Hello, Mitch all day," from random Facebook user. Please remember that you need to give Facebook permission to use your name, and you can do that by going to facebook.com/StreamYard, or no, I think it's StreamYard.com/Facebook. One or the other. Do one of those things. It says it in the instructions there. So I'd love to know who you are, Facebook user. So anyhow,
hit subscribe, hit like. We need it. We need the support right now. Yeah. We need the good vibes. Tonight's supposed to be it's still going to be the Kentucky/Missouri Capsule. We do have no disrespect to those two teams. We're going to get to y'all and tell everybody what we think, but we got some other things to talk about first. This is a Georgia-centric show, and the news coming out of spring practice for the University of Georgia ain't been too good. 2 weeks in, two of our best receivers gone. One of them we know he's gone for the season. I'm not going to listen to no Disney dog bullshit. And by the way, if you got sensitive ears or you a PG kind of person, tonight might not be your night. George Pickens gone. I don't want to hear it. And our national championship hopes dented. Not impossible, but dented with his departure. And then today, Jermaine Burton hyperextends that knee like you want to do when you're one of the guys being talked about as the number 2 receiver. And at this point, no information has been given as to the severity. But it's Georgia, so I'm pretty sure us doom and gloomers, our day has come. He's gone for the season. National championship hopes have taken a great white shark bite out of the leg. We can still have a successful season. Probably still going to win the East. 9, 10, 11 games, sure. But if both of those dudes are gone, this season just took a turn in a bad way. Mitch, what you think?
I want to use that opportunity to bring in somebody. Give this guy an opportunity.
Who that is?
Hey, Robert, you there with us? Uh-oh. I think we might have lost Robert.
He might have hyperextended his knee on the way in.
Hey, buddy, if you can hear me, just exit then and come back in. We'll try to get you back on.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, I think he might have froze. So let me kind of give you the people at home watching. This guy Robert here is he's a podcaster specializing in Georgia stuff. Oh, look at this! Hey, look at that! Hey, Joshua Suggs, what's up, Josh? Your old buddy from Valdosta, Mr. Ducati.
Boy, I ain't seen him since we was playing that little Star Wars Epic Duels game.
Yeah.
Like friendships were lost and gained in real life over that game, let me tell you.
Yeah. Hey, there he is. Hey, Robert, what's going on, man?
Hey, how y'all guys?
Good. How are you, sir?
Well,
not too bad. Technical difficulties just recently.
Understand all. So before we get too deep in this, Robert, let's give us an opportunity to learn a little bit about you. Who are you, sir? Oh no. Oh no.
It's been that kind of week for Georgia. Hey, we should be used to this kind of thing by now. Murphy's Law.
Oh man. All right. I want to remove him again. I think. Man,
He gone for the season too. That's the third one we just lost. Damn, we can't even keep a podcaster, man. What the hell's going on?
Oh my gosh.
But look, for real.
All right, this is your last chance, Robert.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, it's windy up here in North Carolina, man.
I hear you. I hear you. We're in Pennsylvania, and it's been a little bit windy up here as well today. But anyway, I was going to give you an opportunity to tell these fine folks who are watching this just who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on, by the way.
Yep, of course.
Robert Reynolds. I host my own podcast, the Damn Good Dogcast. I haven't posted recently, but I am going to be doing here pretty soon, just getting some things squared away. But yeah, that's about it. An avid dog fan, pretty much. Keeping it simple.
Yeah. You got a link for the people?
Yeah, I do. You can find me. I have Twitter, so you can at DG Dogcast. Facebook DG Dogcast. Yeah, I can post up stuff as well if needed.
Let's see. How does that look? Does that look right?
Let me see. Yeah, let me see. That should be fine.
Okay. If you got a screen you'd like to share, feel free to. I think you're able to do that on your end as well. But yeah, I listened to a little bit of your stuff. I listened to your episode on Pickens, and I think it was your first episode where you just introduced yourself, talked about being from North Carolina and how did you come to the dogs and all of that kind of stuff. Matt and I grew up in Georgia. I'm from Southwest Georgia. Grew up hating Auburn, and Matt grew up in Valdosta, Georgia, home of the Wildcats, South Central Georgia, and he grew up hating Florida, and we met in college, and we just haven't stopped talking about Bulldogs since. So it's good to have you around.
Yeah, man.
We had Caleb on the show. Oh gosh, when was it, Matt? A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks back when we were. It was the show before Florida. He was the one who picked Florida for us to dissect. I think that's been about 3-4 weeks ago, about a month.
That was a good one. I guarantee it.
Okay, I just got your message here you sent me, so I'll put that up. Let's edit this real quick.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries, man. This will be good for you for the viewers, for the thousands in attendance and the millions and millions.
With the opportunity for flash photography.
Yes, there you go. So go check out dgdogcast.buzzsprout.com, and you'll get to see my guy Robert's stuff there, and take a listen. He does good work. Now you normally do a solo show, but occasionally you have a guest on. Is that right? Am I?
Yeah, I typically just do that. Just trying to work on, trying to get some things situated. But for the most part, I'll go on and just kind of do solo for the most part.
Gotcha. Okay. So anyway, we all got the news today. I'm sure you've also heard the news about Burton.
It's going.
Yeah. And so Matt and I, in pre-gaming this thing, we were talking. I don't know, man. The original plan was to talk about Kentucky and Missouri, and I think we're still going to do that. We're gonna definitely spend some time on them, but it seems like I don't know. We don't know the severity of Burton's injury. If this thing over the next couple of days turns out to be a real thing, a George Pickens thing, maybe we need to spend some time and talk about it. Right now, I don't want to speculate. And Matt instantly flings himself in front of a bus every time something like this happens. So that's just that he's what did you say? The president of the doom and gloom.
The doom and gloomers. My day has come. I wasn't going to drink tonight, but y'all drove me to it. Thank you.
Gonna have a good shot of whiskey. Yeah, whiskey.
Something hard to kill the pain.
Why we just can't have nice things in Georgia.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
A huge part of why we were all getting revved up and excited about this season was the offense. And two major components of that offense were George Pickens and Jermaine Burton. 2 weeks in, both of them gone. Now, you can sit here and we can spin it any way. It's a hyperextended knee for Burton. Right? That could be 2 to 4 weeks, or it could be a torn ACL. If it's a torn ACL, I don't see us making a run at a natty. There's too much chemistry we're going to miss. I don't know if the other ingredients in the cabinet can make up that much lost space. on the fly. I mean, you're relying on unproven commodities or proven non-commodities. Like I read today, they talked about, oh, this is an excellent chance for D-Rob to step up. D-Rob's had, 7 years to step up?
Well, he had that year at Cal, too.
Yeah.
He did really good at Cal, though.
Joe did. What did he do at Georgia?
I mean, well, to look at D-Rob, though, in itself, I mean, let's be honest here. The quarterback play, it was – well, I wouldn't even say the quarterback play. I would say more so the offensive scheme didn't fit the receivers and what we had. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to knock D-Rob because I look at it now and you look at the pieces, right? So you've got a very competent quarterback that can hit all of the throws, all parts of the field. You have Todd Monken, I think, is a genius for this offense. It's going to scheme guys open constantly. So these guys are going to get schemed open. And JT, with the offseason now, instead of just 4 games, I think he'll have that time, 1, to build the chemistry, and 2, like I said, he'll understand and he'll get the reps and everything like that. So when it comes game time, I think he'll be fine when it comes to, seeing these things and seeing these guys open. Obviously, we saw it all last year. Todd Monken schemed guys open, especially the tight ends, but we weren't hitting them, especially, with Stetson. But as JT came in, you started to see that a little bit more, especially Missouri, and you saw it in Cincinnati as well. Yeah. So I think D-Rob could. I don't think he will, but I think he could make a big impact there. I'm looking at Arian Smith.
Me too. Unproven commodity. I'm hoping. I mean, look, a lot of when Pickens went down, I heard a lot of chatter about, well, look at Alabama. Waddle was the number 1 guy when he went down, and then Devontae Smith stepped up and won the Heisman. Do we have that kind of guy? I'm not saying he's got to win the Heisman, but do we have that kind of guy who will say, you know what? It's my time. And then produce? That's the question. I don't know. We'll have to see as the season progresses. I just felt a whole lot better about Clemson and our run at a natty. If we're talking about a natty, that's what we're talking about. I felt a whole lot better when we had all of our chess pieces. We're missing 2 of them. 1 of them for sure, possibly 2. I feel a little bruised.
Let me ask a question. If I could tell you definitively that our defensive secondary would be as good, if not better, than it was last season, if I could tell you that definitively right now, how would you feel about our chances if we don't have Pickens and Burton? How would you feel about our chances?
If we don't have Pickens and Burton and the secondary was good as last year, you said, they'll need to be better. I think you look at now for the sake of our discussion here. Last year, obviously, was 10-game SEC slate. We did have Bama regular season, and and even with all the talent, you look at the Alabama offense last year. Nobody in the country could stop it. That's just what it was. Now you look at this. If you want to be statistical and crunch the numbers, Georgia fared fairly well against Bama's high-powered offense. Still got carved up, but like I said, everybody got carved up. Florida carved us up, right? So the elite pass, we played several elite passing teams last year. So, I think honestly the defense was fine, the secondary was fine. You just got, just the prolific offenses. You're not going to see Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts. You're not going to see Mac Jones and Waddle and Devontae. You're not going to see that this year. You may see, if you look at Bama, I think you got Mechie is the only guy that I really know from last year. I know they got guys. They're going to reload, no question. I'm not going to discredit that. Bryce Young kind of not really got his feet wet yet in the SEC. So, I think I'm going to go ahead and make my shot here. That's who we're playing in the SEC championship game. Got to get ready for those guys. And obviously Sark, last year Sark was a mastermind at scheme. You couldn't have rid up an offense as beautiful as that. And coming from a quarterback, when I was in high school, I played quarterback, and seeing some of those plays and how they were designed was just beautiful, even if it was against us. But as we're speaking about it right here, I think if we can play better or as good this year, I think we do it even without Pickens and Burton. And I'll give you the reason why. One, this is the year where we have so much receiver depth, we can kind of take the damage where it is. You look at when we had when Cager, right? You had Cager when he was getting hurt. We didn't really have guys, right? So all 5 guys, left, top 5 pass catchers left. So you sit there, you're looking at 6, 7 string guys the year before, no experience really, or no production, and you're forced into starting roles, and they just weren't ready for it, which is why we ran so much. We have a ton of receiver talent right now, even without Pickens, even without Burton. Like I said, you have Arian Smith. He's going to be crucial with getting the top over the defense, right? Getting past the defense. World-class speed, in my opinion. And you look at, a lot of people that I've talked to kind of forget about this. Don Blaylock. A lot of people forget about Blaylock, and you can't. I know he got hurt. But
I agree. How effective will he be coming back from that ACL?
Well, we won't know yet.
Kirby's approach to take it slow. Kirby's going to take him slow.
You mentioned you said a word, crucial. What about how crucial is it now that you get Fitzpatrick and Darnell developed and targeted in this offense?
Well, and you don't forget about Brock Bowers either.
Yeah, and him. Let's just say how crucial. We've been barking about it, no pun intended, for years. Where are the tight ends? A lot of folks in the Georgia camp felt like Isaac Nauta was wasted, and you could make the case that he might have been as far as a receiving threat here and there. Are we finally going to see one of the tight ends get that Kyle Pitts treatment? I'm not saying they're going to be Kyle Pitts, but you understand what I'm saying? Are we finally is that going to become a weapon to make up for some of the we're going to miss some production from Pickens and Burton. I'm telling you, if Burton pans out to not be with us this year, we're going to miss that production. There's no way to spend it.
Yeah, because once JT came in, Burton took over immediately.
Yeah,
and we saw it. We saw it at Mississippi State.
Oh, did.
And I'm not saying I'm not going to look at this as his typical game by any means. I'm not going to do that. Now, however, you saw the potential for it being there. But Mississippi State was kind of one of those one-off games where they didn't even try to stop. They just blitzed all the time and just made us and basically forced JT to beat us, and he did. So you're not going to see that every week. So you can't expect these guys to get 200 yards in a game, But still, yeah, I think it'll be fine. We'll see what happens.
So let's I propose that we somewhat table this discussion, and let's see what happens with Burton. Let's see what kind of news we can get over the next couple of days, and if things if things don't take a turn for the worse, maybe we should just spend a little time and do like a deep dive on, like who is the next man up? Who is, what is this thing going to look like if we are down our top 2 receivers, if that's what you want to call Pickens and Burton, right? What are some other possibilities? How is this Todd Monken offense going to evolve, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm glad you said that. And then that's the last thing I'll say, because, once again, Justin Robinson, who made a lot of noise last year preseason, is making a lot of noise this year preseason. And the article after the Burton injury news was that, and if I say his name wrong, correct me, Adonai. There we go. Thank you, sir. Donnie Mitchell apparently is raising some eyebrows too. Early, but we're going to have to take a wait and see approach, which I hate.
Yeah. Well, okay. So on to the current business, or is this new business, or is this, I don't know, pre-planned business then? We're going to talk about, last week we talked about the Mississippi teams, State and Ole Miss, and now we've decided to flip back over to the East and talk about Missouri and Kentucky, specifically because, just for your benefit, Robert, Matt and I have sort of been characterizing the East as a 3-tier division.
Mm-hmm.
You have your top tier with Florida and Georgia. You have your bottom tier with all the teams with new coaches. South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee. Teams that are just, frankly, in trouble. And then you got the middle tier. Missouri and Kentucky are both, I think they have very clear goals in mind going into this season. And I think that the primary goal for both of those teams should be get bowl eligible. I think that's a reasonable goal for both of those teams. I think Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken, went 4-6 last year, and Missouri went 5-5. Bear in mind, also Kentucky lost by 1 in overtime to Ole Miss. So a ball bounces weird here or there. Kentucky also goes 5-5. So does that translate into 6-6 in a 12-game season? You know what I mean? Like a bowl eligible season, maybe. Are these teams closer collectively, Missouri and Kentucky, to nipping at the heels of the teams ahead of them, or getting nipped at by the teams behind them? That's a question that I'm very curious about.
I'm going to have to say that they're closer to getting to the top tier. The reason why I say that is this. The way I agree with your tier system, I think you have to put Florida and Georgia at the top. And I'm not trying to be a homer here, but it all starts in recruiting, right? We know that.
Mm-hmm.
The recruiting gap, and you can talk to a Florida fan all day, and they won't listen to you about it. That gap is getting huge with Kirby Smart. It's getting huge. That matters for one, but nonetheless, they're still in the top tier. You have to put Florida in that top tier. It's going to be interesting, though. And here's why I say that Kentucky and Missouri have a good chance to be closer to your top tier. I think Florida's vulnerable this year against Kentucky and Missouri. And the reason why I say that is this. Kentucky, with Stoops, always has a very solid defense. Mm-hmm. Florida does not have Trask. They lost so much offensive production. And in my opinion, Emory Jones is not the guy. And I don't think they have a quarterback on the roster right now that's going to win those tough games. I don't see it. I'm not saying they can't. I just don't see them beating us. I see them possibly struggling against Kentucky and Missouri. Because let's be honest here, last year is what it is. But Kentucky seems to, at least with us, they always play solid. They're very, very good defensively, very sound. They give us a good game. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see us blow them out by like 40-some points. That's just not what they're about defensively. And we saw what happened. And the score is telling, right? But in my opinion, I think you look at it a different way here. Outside of the Georgia game, Missouri played very well, especially with first-year coach Eli Drinkwitz. Mm-hmm. Very good ball for a first-year coach. So I think the guys at Missouri and Como were buying into him and what he's about, and that's going to translate this coming up year. And I've been thinking about this myself. I would put it. I might make this a hot take, but I think you could possibly see Kentucky end up second.
What did I say, Mitch? What did I say?
This isn't a hot take. This is already, Matt has already carved this in stone.
I tried no, back up now. Hold on, Molly. I know we want to be. I tried to tell our friend from Florida that I do believe Florida could comfortably finish second, but it is not outside the realm of possibility. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be forced to take a drink like I am tonight if Florida finished third. If it went from 9-3 to 8-4 because Kentucky or Missouri snuck in there and got that victory. I told Ethan, pick one. You won't lose to both. I don't think Florida loses to both Kentucky and Missouri. Pick one. Pick one. You're losing one. And he picked which one, Mitch?
Look, I think it's Kentucky. And hear me out for this.
He picked Kentucky. He said they got to go to Lexington. Lexington's no joke now. And he said he what did he say? He said, I see us like squeaking out some epic upset over Bama and then turn it
Well,
around and lose.
I remember what he said. He said, look, he said anybody that looks at Florida's schedule is going to see the 3 games. They're going to see Georgia, they're going to see Bama, and they're going to see LSU. Those are the 3 games that anybody's going to pick out of Florida's schedule and say these are the teams that Florida needs to worry about. They're the most likely losses, right? And Ethan said. Well, this is what Ethan said. Ethan said of those teams, of those 3 teams, he said that LSU is the team that will definitely hand them a loss. He said they're going to catch an L from one of the other 2 teams, Georgia or Alabama, but they're probably, if they can get a win, if they can get an upset, it will come at the expense of one of those other teams. But they will still go 9-3 because they will catch their 3rd L to either Kentucky or Missouri. And he said Kentucky, right?
That's what he said. That's what
he thinks it's going to be Kentucky.
I look at it this way. You look at the schedule, right? If you're looking at Florida's schedule, 2 cupcake games, well, one in South Florida or at South Florida, I should say. I wouldn't necessarily call it a true, right? I wouldn't call it a true cupcake, but I mean,
South Florida's not what they were. They're not what they were.
No, I agree. But then week 3 you've got Bama, and I think they're in Gainesville, so that'll help. And I'm sure with the COVID restrictions, I'm thinking Florida's. I would expect them to go full capacity. Seems the Florida way to do it this year. They tried for it last year. They're going to go full. You know what I mean? That's just the way that's going to be.
Uh-huh.
I don't care what anyone says. Florida will not lose, or Florida will not beat Alabama. And if they do, great. You know why? Because we'll probably see LSU in the SEC championship game. But to the point of LSU, they've got Eli Ricks, they've got Stingley. That secondary is going to be fine. And if you look at if you look toward the end of the year, last year with LSU, they had, even with the freshmen, they had some decent quarterback play. It wasn't the greatest, but a lot of people forgot their quarterback got injured, right? Miles Brennan got injured. He was doing okay, but what is it? I forgot the guy's name. Hell, he went in his first start and beat Florida, right? Now, give it to Marco Wilson for that, but still, they did enough to win.
Not us. It doesn't sting us, but it stings some of our friends.
Oh, well, I mean, it is what it is.
Fits. I mean, if the shoe fits.
I mean, throwing punches. But no, in all honesty, though, I look at it this way. And, I'm not going to be the one to make excuses by any means. I try to keep it as realistic as possible here. We got flat out beat last year. There was no question about it.
Oh, yeah.
I heard a lot of people talking about, why didn't JT start? Looking back into it at the time, it makes perfect sense. Why rush a quarterback when he's basically the face of your franchise or the college, the program, right? Why rush him out there and risk getting re-injured just because it's a rival game? Now, it's a rival game, I understand. But we saw what happened when he took the time and he was actually physically ready. Mentally ready and physically ready are 2 different things. Even when he started at Mississippi State, you could see how kind of hesitant he was on that leg, and that's understandable. You're going to do that, but starting him in that last 4 games, those last 4 games, eased him back into it. You're going to see a fully healthy JT Daniels, and I'm not going to say a fully healthy offense by any means. Obviously, we lost Pickens, and I'm thinking. I think Burton will be fine. I think he'll be ready for the season. It's just my take there. No, I think so.
We'll see.
I hope. That'd be awesome. I hope we get that.
I have some things prepared. I brought some treats for the class here. All right, and I'd like to take a look at them. So we build this as a capsule, looking at the arrivals and departures for each of these teams. So let's focus for a second. Who do you boys want first, Missouri or Kentucky?
I'll give the guest choice.
All right.
Let's go alphabetical. We'll go Kentucky.
Okay, Kentucky.
All right, Mitch, had to think about that one.
Yeah, all right. So here we go. So take a look here. I put this thing together here. 2 of the 3 teams that are going to be in the SEC championship game. So, 1 is Kentucky. 2 is Missouri. 3 is Kentucky. So take a look here. So, Kentucky. 2 is Missouri. 3 is Kentucky. So, 1 is Kentucky. 2 is Missouri. 3 is Kentucky. So take a look here. I put this thing together here. you can see 2020 results. Kentucky went 4-6. We said this earlier, right? So notable arrivals, and these are like so your recruiting class. I looked at their recruiting class. I took down their top 2 recruits, and if I recall correctly, and I might have to look at this again, I think that Kentucky only had 2 4-stars in the chamber, and it was these guys, this Yeager Burton and Trevin Wallace. As Burton is a guard and offensive guard, and Wallace is a linebacker. And I mean, these are respectable recruits here. Now, what was really, really interesting was looking at Kentucky's transfer portal. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Terry Wilson is in the portal. And in addition to that,
I saw that
kid, Will Levis, this Will Levis kid from Penn State is in the portal, has transferred to Kentucky. Now, totally different style of quarterback than what Eddie Grant has been working with at Kentucky recently. This guy's more of a passer. All right, so looks like Joey Gatewood will most likely be back and do question mark. You know, we don't know. But if Terry Wilson is gone and they decide to go forward with this Will Levis, then what he's got to work with are these 2 returning guys, Chris Rodriguez, who was their leading rusher last year, and Joshua Ali, who has decided to take his COVID option and come back as a 5th-year senior. He's their leading receiver. So Kentucky's returning some pieces. And let me say there's something that I didn't get a chance to say earlier that I really wanted to say was that you were talking about Stoops having a good defense. I'll go a step further and say Stoops has had excellent line play on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I would agree that the line play, yeah.
They have committed to running the ball and stopping the run. And this past season, Kentucky actually had the best pass defense in the SEC.
Interesting.
And they led the conference in interceptions as well. So they have a very, very aggressive defensive secondary, and they will beat you up. That is a team that when you play Kentucky, you are going to get bumps and scrapes and bruises.
Don't we know it?
And we were a prime example. You know, we normally would have that week off going into Florida, and last year, because of COVID issues, we wound up having to shuffle at the last minute, take a week off, then play Kentucky, and then play Florida. And it was just like, you know, sticking a McDonald's straw into a pencil sharpener. You know, Kentucky just chewed us up. We didn't play Florida particularly well, and Florida did play us particularly well, and they put up record numbers. But also, we weren't ourselves. And so, what if we don't have all those injuries, and what if we do have that extra week to prepare? And what if does starting JT Daniels then make more sense, or do we decide to hold out JT Daniels still? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of question marks, and I just don't know the answer. Josh Suggs says, Robert, you're too positive. You can't be a lifelong Georgia fan. When did you convert?
I'll respond. Let me respond to that. No,
yeah, sure.
Now, so if you go listen to my first episode, I grew up watching, like, being in North Carolina. We didn't have, not in Georgia. You don't really get to see the TV channels and stuff like that. So what we got to watch was when the SEC, the game of the 3:30 came on. It was what it was. Now the good thing was I did get to see some good amount of Georgia, but I had to stick with Florida, Alabama, LSU, all those games. You know how it goes. But what really set me in was the era of Noshawn and Matt Stafford and AJ Green, Massaquoi, and Mikey Henderson, and those guys.
I was just about to say Mikey Henderson.
You cannot forget Matt Stafford to Mikey Henderson in Tuscaloosa. First play from scrimmage, overtime to beat him at Tuscaloosa.
Can't forget it. Won't forget it. Can't forget Noshawn reaching like Superman, getting that touchdown in Jacksonville, and the whole team clearing the benches. All the Florida fans clutching their pearls. Oh my God!
I will tell you this right here. Let me say this right here. The play that solidified my fanhood to Georgia, Noshawn at Arizona State.
That's a good, yeah. When he leapfrogged the dude?
Let me
No,
tell you.
no. That was Central Michigan. When he pulled that Reggie Bush at the end zone.
Let me tell you guys something about that last season with Noshawn and Matthew Stafford. We used to attend whatever Georgia bowl game was. These days, I was dating a girl that would like to. She was a Georgia grad, and we would go to the games and stuff like that. And we would always go to the bowl game. And that year, we were playing Michigan State in Orlando, and we went down there, and we got tickets to sit in the what was that? Was that the Capital One Bowl? I think that was right. We got tickets to sit in the the sponsor pavilion at the in the end zone. So the band was just over here to our left, and we're sitting in these like VIP seats. I have no idea how we got them, but Garrison Hurst was sitting like one row in front of us, and we're standing up there, and they have like tables, and you can go back in the tent and get you like shrimp cocktail and a beer or something like that and wander around, the whole shebang. Well, at some point, the girl I was with decided that she was going to get up and go get us some drinks, and so she left, and she left me leaning against the post, and so she goes, and while she's gone, Harry Dog stumbles over there, and he's high-fiving Garrison Hurst and hugging on him and stuff like that, and then he comes by me, and he like poses up with me. We take a selfie there on my little flip phone. This is so long ago, and I remember like she came back with a couple of drinks or whatever, and I was like, oh, look what happened, and I showed her the picture on my phone with me with Harry, and she's like, I've been going to Georgia games for like 20 years, and I've never met Harry Dog, And after the game, when we beat Michigan State, Noshawn went over and climbed up on the drum major's podium, and he directed the band. He guided the band or whatever. And I was like, man, it'll be so fun to watch them play next year. Nah, that was it. That was the last time that we saw them. So that's my little story. I'll share that picture. I have that picture somewhere around here. I have to bring that onto the stream one night. But anyway, I want to pull this back up here for a second. We talked about arrivals and returning players or whatever, so that's what Kentucky's had. But what Kentucky's losing, I don't remember them necessarily losing a lot to like the NFL or anything like that. But I did notice that they had Terry Wilson plus 8 more names in the transfer portal, and I don't know if that not necessarily true that all those guys are going to go somewhere or leave Kentucky. Maybe they're just testing the waters, but 8 names, man, that's I don't know. That's a lot of names to me. It seems like a lot of names, Now I know at one time teams like Tennessee and South Carolina and Auburn, they had like double-digit names, 14, 15, 16 names in the portal or whatever. I guess you have that when you're going through what those teams are going through this year. But 8 seems like a lot for a team that, I don't know, I categorize Kentucky as a team that's sort of like meeting expectations. You know what I'm saying? Like doing what it's supposed to do, Does that speak to dissent?
I did not realize they had
that many.
Terry Wilson, 9 people transferring. I don't know. They're scrappy though. Kentucky's scrappy. Stoops has them. They're not the team you want to run into on a back alley.
Mm-hmm. I think that I saw
going to serve them well.
Since Stoops has been there, there's only been 1 year that they did not improve on their previous year's performance. And I thought
they seemed to be when they had oh my good what's his name, Josh Allen, things like that in that defense. Mm-hmm. You look at that, you wonder if that was the peak year. Because that defense was ridiculous that year. That was a very, very good defense that year. But now, I'm not saying that they don't play good defense still, because they do. They play literally tough nose, beat you up football, right? That's just what they do on the defensive. That's their makeup. But
check this out, dude. I don't know if you realize this, but the last 2 years, if you go back and look at the recruiting classes that Kentucky has put together, I think it's like 80% of their top 10 recruits, so like 8 out of their top 10 recruits, have been either offensive linemen or defensive linemen.
Yeah, battles are won the games are won in the trenches, so it makes sense.
They are putting together a thing they want, right? Mm-hmm. And they figure if they need ball carriers, you'll find one. You'll find one somewhere, right?
Yeah, typically.
They're going to build a wall first, and then they'll find somebody to catapult over that wall, later.
Well, I mean, you look. Yeah, I can see that. I think and Ducati, you might fill me on this one. The defense, I don't think is going to be the problem for Kentucky. I think they have to get over the offense, and Terry Wilson going to the portal could be the nail in the coffin, but I think they'll be okay. For some reason, they always have this uber athletic running back type gadget player for quarterback. So the one year that they get an actual quarterback that can be a pocket passer, you have a great offensive line. They can, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, they are definitely going back to the original question. I think they're getting closer to nipping at the heels of the Georgias and the Floridas of the East. They're not going backwards. They're improving just about every year. Their style of play is what gets. I don't look forward to playing Kentucky. That's no longer a weekend that I take off. That's not a weekend that I'm like, oh, it's just Kentucky. Now I'm like, oh man, we probably gonna win, but Kentucky.
I'll tell you what, Kentucky's gonna be our trap game. Look who we played before. No, look who we played before. We play Auburn in Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week go to Kentucky. Or no, we don't go to Kentucky. They come to us, but you get the point.
They ain't scared. That's the thing. They ain't.
Hold on. I see this comment. I forgot, hey, RIP to the Hefty Lefty. That guy was fun to watch. That guy was
God. Oh my
We're just
God.
talking about Lorenzen.
Dude, I remember, I guess I'm going to get my year wrong, so I don't even want to say it, but he was the quarterback. And I remember
early 2000s.
I was at a fraternity house. We're watching the game. We're all Georgia fans, and it was in that era where we were like, it's just Kentucky. We can just relax and have a good time. He would get sacked. If they sacked him, and he would do this, throw the ball over his head like that, backwards, and make a fucking completion.
Dude, it was insane. The best part about it, and I feel like it's probably a health condition that caused his weight issues. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know him enough, or I didn't really research him enough. But what was insane was after he left Kentucky, and obviously he didn't pan out in the NFL, and he goes to these like arena football leagues and stuff like that.
Arena ball and stuff.
Dude's bigger than their linemen and sitting there and just athletic enough to run down the field, and I'm just like, what? Like
he was bigger than the center.
Yeah.
It was like the center running around and making plays. Like what? That doesn't exist.
It's like Sean Oakman except just fat. Like.
So look at this here for a second, boys. What you're looking at now is Kentucky's schedule. The games on the left are their first six, and the games on the right are their second six. And blue verses are home games, and gray verses are away. So let's try to take a look at this and see what we can come up with as possible. In other words, can they meet expectations? Can they get bowl eligible? And what kind of record are we looking at here? So. It really sucks that their second game of the season is against Missouri. If you ask me, I hate to see that. So
it'll be a good game, though.
I do think it'll be a great game.
Those are the two teams of honor tonight. I mean, which one of them is gonna take that step and get closer to the upper crust?
So out of the first three games, this ULM and UTC games, I think Kentucky wins both those games easily. And I'll put a question mark next to Missouri. I don't know if Kentucky's going to win that game or Missouri's going to win the game. I don't know. But I do think that Kentucky is at worst 2-1 and at best 3-0 after their first three games. Right. Then going into South Carolina. South Carolina is in a world of hurt. They're just in disarray. Then they got so I think they beat South Carolina is what I'm trying to say. So after the first four games. Best case scenario, 4-0. Worst case, 3-1. Okay. You got Florida and LSU and Georgia back to back to back.
Ooh.
That is a gauntlet right there.
Yeah, that is. I don't know, man. Here's the deal, though. If we're going to say that Florida better watch out, if anything. I'm glad that they're playing Florida first out of those three, because if they had to go through Georgia and then LSU and finally get to Florida, I would say that by that time they got it. They've been worn down to the nubs. You know what I'm saying? There's not left. I think that Kentucky is going to be about as healthy and as sharp as they will be all season going into that Florida game. And so I think Florida is going to get Kentucky's absolute best shot. What do you think? Agree, disagree?
I agree. You know what? I'm going to make my call here. They'll go in. They'll host Florida, being 4-0, and I think that's the game where they may lose very, very close.
Okay.
You know what? Hold on. Let me think about this. More than likely, Emory Jones is going to be their quarterback. Florida's got DeMarcus Bowman, which that kind of eliminates the run. It wouldn't be a stretch to see them end up 5-0 or 4-1.
I'm not willing to bet green money that they're going to beat Florida. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if they do.
Yeah, I would be. I'm on that board. I'm on board with that.
I will go ahead and say this: in their first 6 games, I think I see Kentucky going 4-2.
I got 5-1.
Okay.
No. Sorry. 4-2. You're right. Sorry, 4-2. My fault.
I'm comfortable with 4-2.
Okay. And one of the games that's really causing me pause is that Missouri game. So just so you know, so 4-2 out of the first 6. Now looking at the back,
before we go on though,
sure.
The LSU game.
Yeah.
While LSU's coming here, keep in mind the defensive line, right? I wholeheartedly believe that the defensive line for Kentucky is going to give LSU's offense fits. I know they've got Keyshawn Butte, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they've got enough talent, that they should beat Kentucky. But do not sleep on the defensive line play, because we know how Kentucky is. They're going to beat you up, and I don't trust LSU's offensive line enough to handle Kentucky's. Now, let's see if they can get to the quarterback, right? Now, they're going to stop the run. That's and I think their secondary will be fine. But Keyshawn Butte is going to be an all-SEC player. Doesn't matter who he's getting the ball thrown to by. He's that good.
Mm-hmm.
But watch LSU. Watch them play a little bit closer than people expect.
Well, the other part about that is, like Matt and I have said numerous times, LSU stands to be better probably from a talent perspective, but also they have some skeletons that are starting to leak out of their closets a little bit.
Oh, boy.
We don't really know what LSU is going to be.
Yeah, you talk about a question mark. We got to see how some of these developments off the field, I mean, how that can affect the team, because some of these allegations are like program I'm not going to say program killing, but you're going to be on life. I mean, you're going to be in the hospital.
Program maiming for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we've purposely dragged our feet on talking about LSU doing the preview, because every time you get ready to, there's another headline, and you're like, let's just wait and see how this pans out, So who knows, man? We might be saying that LSU is a legitimate team and they're back to where they're supposed to be. Or they might be in the same boat as like a Auburn or a Tennessee, or South Carolina. They might be, sucking hind tit, so to speak.
No, I'll say this.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I'll say this. With LSU, they're going to be in the top 3 in the SEC West, so long as the feds don't get involved with what's going on there in Baton Rouge.
That's a hell of a caveat, isn't it?
I'll tell you this:
as we don't catch federal charges, we're going to be pretty good.
No, because let's just be honest here. The NCAA, LSU football is one of those things where they generate so much money that the NCAA won't really do anything. It's just the NCAA way, right? Look at Will Wade. Nonetheless, Will Wade and Self at Kansas, going to basketball here. Both of those guys are still coaching on the sidelines. When they have wiretapped messages, literal phone messages, recordings of them bribing players. And guess what? They're still coaching. That tells you the NCAA ain't going to do anything. The feds would have to get involved. That's just the way I'm seeing that.
Well, you got to look at what's going on at Kansas with them, parting ways with Les Miles and then turning around and firing their AD. So is that Kansas washing its hands of those two because they know that maybe the NCAA is about to get off the pot, so to speak? And
very well could be.
I mean, who knows? I told Matt, I said that's a heck of a lot of smoke for there to be no fire. So
I think so too. I think looking back at when Miles was at LSU, right? Don't get me wrong, he recruited the hell out of some good players and he basically locked down the state of Louisiana. But let's be honest, Louisiana, it's a tough place. I'm not going to say that, especially Baton Rouge, and it wouldn't be surprising, right? I hope not. I hope that these things are false, right? I hope so, for the sake of the victims, if that's the case. But, Kansas getting rid of Miles and was Oregon State getting rid of the other AD, you really don't know if there, I think there is smoke there, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I think there's smoke there for sure.
No, I mean, it's like I said, we'll see. We just, like I said, we keep purpose. Maybe LSU is the last team we talk about, and maybe we don't get to talk about them until after the season starts. Who even knows?
What happens on the back end of this schedule?
So good point. Let's see here. So if we're saying in the first part of the schedule, worst case scenario 3-3, best case scenario 4-2, maybe even 5-1, maybe. Back end of the schedule, I see them taking a loss to Georgia. I think that Kentucky and Ole Miss are right about the same speed. I do. And I think that Ole Miss might be a gear ahead of Mississippi State, as we discussed last week. So I see Kentucky being a gear ahead of Mississippi State. So I think after in the second half of their season, I think that they start 1-1, and then they pick up a win against Tennessee and Vanderbilt, because I just don't think either one of those teams want any of that. And so they're 3-1 going into New Mexico State, which has I'm not even certain they have a football team, and that's my wife's alma mater. So they 4-1, and then they beat up on Louisville 5-1. So I see Kentucky.
I don't know. You just talked about that gauntlet, and who do they got to go to Mississippi State at the end of it? What did I tell you about Mike Leach last week? He ain't gonna get everybody, but he gonna get somebody. That's why they keep hiring him.
So you think that if Mississippi State wants Kentucky, they got them in the right spot? Is that what you're saying?
It's the perfect formula. If Mississippi State's going to win that game, they're at the end. Look, Florida, LSU, Georgia. Does anybody want to play those three teams in a row ever?
No one does.
They're fortunate to have the bye week after Georgia, though. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
True, but what did I say about Mike Leach last week on the show? Mitch?
He's a pirate.
He's an assassin.
Yes.
That's that kind of game where they come out of that, they're beat up, they're tired. They have just, they've done whatever they're going to do against those three teams. They get a little bye week to rest, and then they go down to Starkville, and oops, Mike Leach hangs 50. It could happen.
Yeah, maybe so. And you're right, they do have to go to Starkville, so that's it's worth looking at. But I will go with Robert here and say that week off, allow them to get their brains back between their ears.
Get healthy.
After having played Florida, Georgia, and Louisiana State in a row, that. We'll see. But
if you're saying they're going to be 9-3, you're basically saying that they're going to be. It's going to be another Florida.
Yeah, I think worst case scenario, Kentucky goes 8-4. Best case, probably 9-3. Yeah,
I think they go 8-4.
I'm leaning 8-4. But if they go 9-3 and they sneak one in against, if they go through Florida, LSU, and Georgia, right, and they notch one win, there's your 9-3. I'm more inclined to say it's going to look more like an 8-4 season.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to expect losses to Georgia, Florida, LSU, and then maybe one more somewhere, whether that's Missouri or Mississippi State. I don't
Question marks Missouri and Mississippi State.
Yeah. So 8-4, I think, is most reasonable prediction for them. Now let's what do you say we take a look at Missouri from the top? We're going to say 8-4 for Kentucky. That seems to be a general consensus, or at least a reasonable expectation. So, hey, bowl eligibility, right? And 8-4 is not an awful season. Who's this here? Oh, look at this. Another thing of note for UK. UGA is the only unfortunate road game they have this year.
Kind of accurate.
Yeah,
Kind of accurate there.
So they get their toughest games at home, and yeah, okay, fair enough, Josh. Here's Missouri. Last year, Missouri went 5-5. They're picking up a couple of guys from in the recruiting this year. They got a 4-star defensive end and a 4-star receiver. I don't know anything about these guys, Travion Ford or Dominic Lovett, other than they're 4 stars. And I do know that Missouri is losing some important pieces. So, yes, they have Connor Bazelak back, and they have Drinkwitz is going into his second year. And I thought that he did a good job last year, personally. And I thought that their freshman quarterback was a good a success story. He threw for almost 2,400 yards last year as a freshman. But they're losing Larry Roundtree, who's number 2 all time on Missouri's rushing list, and he's also number 1 on their all-time rushing list for running backs. Their lead rusher all time is actually a quarterback. Look that up. Nick Bolton was number 7 in tackles in the SEC. They got an offensive lineman, Larry Borum, 6'6", 330-pound guy. And they got their defensive back, Tyree Gillespie. Gillespie is a guy who held Pitts in check pretty well in that Florida game. And he also held Najee Harris in check in the Alabama game. Gillespie is a decent ball player, and he's been impressing people at these NFL workouts and whatnot. So I expect that those 4 guys are going to be their most notable departures. But here's something that you need to look at too. Kentucky's got 8 guys in the portal. 9 guys counting Terry Wilson. Missouri's got 13 guys in the portal.
Yeah, I just saw that, man.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What the heck, man? This is like Tennessee, Vanderbilt, South Carolina numbers here.
I don't have an answer for that one. I don't know.
You got to think about it. The NCAA, right? And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far. NCAA, how they set the 1 year, COVID opt out where you can come back. You have that. But you also have, they granted the one-time, basically immediate eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, I'm not saying that, Como's a bad place, but, these guys showed, maybe they want to get out. And I think they'll keep some of those guys there because there's so many guys in the portal. The transfer portal is loaded right now. And a lot of guys you're not really seeing go elsewhere because there's not a lot of room. You know what I mean?
Right.
So. Yep. Some of those guys might come back. I'm not going to say all of them will. You know what I mean? I don't expect all 13 to go. But if they do, I guarantee they replace them with people in the portal as well.
It makes me wonder a little bit about if they're dealing with a little bit of the Mike Leach syndrome. We talked last week about how Mike Leach goes to a place and the first order of business is to just run off players. Everywhere he's been along his career, he has – in the first year, just flushed out the turds, so to speak, and then once he gets his guys believing in his system, running his offense and all that, then you start seeing some sustained success from Mike Leach teams, and eventually they'll peak out. They'll win, 10 or 11 games in a season or whatever, and then he goes to another place, right? So will he do that at Mississippi State? Maybe, but that's not the real question. The question is Drinkwitz carved out of that same mold? And we don't know. We don't have a lot of evidence to go. But first-year coach has some moderate success. They go 5-5. I mean, it's not awful given an all SEC slate and a COVID year. And
circumstances was fine, yeah.
Yeah, they really were affected by COVID too. They had to reschedule something like 3 or maybe even 4 games.
They had to eat up with it, yeah.
Yeah, they were eat up with it, and
they got destroyed by that stuff.
Yeah, so their schedule was all over the place, and they managed to get through a season 5-5, and then Drinkwitz, I think he was a successful coach first year. You know what I mean, like what it was to expect from the guy, and then and all of a sudden there's at least perceived unhappiness, perceived dissension. How do you characterize 13 names in the portal? I mean, that's are rats scrambling to get off the ship? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to put up here Missouri.
Let me get that schedule.
Yeah, here we go. So they're going to start this. I don't know if you guys can see that, but September 4th, they start with Central Michigan, directional school. Missouri wins. And then, of course, we talked about the Kentucky game. So, again, a question mark. And then Southeast Missouri State, which is a kind of a rivalry for Missouri. They have close ties with SEMO, So I know that some of the guys from SEMO who did some NFL workouts did so at Mizzou. So 2-1 at worst, 3-0 at best in the first 3 games. I don't think anybody was going to argue with that. Boston College. Now, I don't know a lot about Boston College this coming season. I know that they were not particularly good last year, if I recall correctly.
I don't think they'll be that good either this year.
I think it's kind of the ACC curse, right? They're not a very good team, and they play in not a very good conference, right? And so I think Missouri has a good shot at beating Boston College. But I certainly wouldn't wake up on Sunday morning and read about them losing to Boston College and think that that was a fluke. I wouldn't think that. I think that if I saw that Missouri lost to Tennessee, I would think that was a fluke. Now here's something, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but Tennessee beat the brakes off Missouri last year. And what was it? Now I got to look it up here.
That was before McMoneybags, so come on.
Right. So
do you think these cats might be, I don't know, 5-1?
Tennessee beat Missouri 35-12 last year. Is there going to be enough loss on Tennessee's side and enough gain on Missouri's side to make up that score?
In Missouri, we talked about it. Missouri's a weird place to play.
Mm-hmm. As you know, they're going to play a noon game. It's Tennessee, for God's sakes. They're not going to say that for a night game.
I think I'm comfortable. I think they might, in this first half, they might just catch one loss. It could be Kentucky, could be Boston College is a long way to travel too.
I like Missouri going.
I like 5-1. I'm gonna say 5-1 on the first.
I like that.
I'm gonna say 5-1, and I think they lose at Kentucky, but keep in mind Tennessee, they lost Garantano.
Yes.
Even if he wasn't that good of a quarterback, that still means that they don't have experience at the quarterback position. I think they got Harrison Bailey, I think is his name.
Yeah, but they lost Stroud too.
Yeah.
And then there was the kid who transferred in. Just saw this the other day. Transferred in, I think, from Virginia Tech. Is that right? And then got in trouble for busting in the guy's door and beating him up, or I can't remember what the charges were. But there was a bunch of their guys got in trouble the other day.
It's terrible up in Rocky Top right now.
Yeah, right.
Read about it is.
Read about it on Field of Streams. So.
We ain't seen our Tennessee friends in a minute.
Yeah, I'm really worried about them. We should send them a nice gift basket.
I'm going to miss them.
Some oranges. So going into the back half of their schedule, if 5-1 is the projection, if somebody told you they were going to be 6-0, I wouldn't say that's outside the realm of possibilities. But 5-1 most likely. Then they got A&M, Vanderbilt, and Georgia. Ugh. I think A&M is going to be pretty good next year. I think A&M is going to be good enough to beat Missouri. I think Georgia is good enough to beat Missouri. I think that anybody is good enough to beat Vanderbilt. So I see them going 1-2 in their next 3, which would put them at 6-3. Is that right? 6-3. How you boys feel about that? 6-3 after 9 games.
I'm comfortable with it.
I'm fine. Yeah.
All right. And then South Carolina, Florida, and Arkansas. All right. This gets interesting. South Carolina, I think, is a definite Missouri win.
Yes.
So
it's in Columbia.
Yes.
No. It's Coma.
Wait, what? No, I meant
It's in Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia,
Oh,
Missouri.
I was calling
Right?
Como. Sorry, my fault.
It's in Columbia, Missouri, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Bye.
6-3, 7. So they're 7-3 after 10 games. 7-3. They'll be ranked 7-3. Ranked. They'll be ranked in the top 25
Lower 20
somewhere.
or higher 20s.
Yeah, maybe like 22. I see them ranked like number 22.
If they go 7-3, 23rd.
Okay, fair enough.
Beat Florida? Can they beat Florida?
No.
Well, let's you talk about trap games, right? Who does Florida play the last week of the season?
Florida State, right?
That's right.
I just don't know, man. I don't know. I told y'all between Kentucky and Missouri, the two teams under the spotlight tonight, pick one to beat Florida. It ain't gonna be both. We already said we feel we wouldn't be shocked if Kentucky gets that win. That means you can't come around and say that Missouri's not.
Well,
Florida's not going to lose to both those teams.
If it's not, I'm just saying if it's not Kentucky, maybe Florida's peeking around the corner at the Seminoles, who, by the way, have Mackenzie Milton at quarterback.
Why would you be peeking around at that trash heap? Florida State is not a factor yet.
Maybe, but hell, is Florida a factor? I mean,
I think this year's Florida team will be like 18-19. Like, they'll compete. They're going to take a few steps. Listen, let me just put my face back on the screen. I'm going to say something. I need to see my pretty face.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
2020 Florida. 2020 was the nut. Florida was the blind squirrel. See what I did there? And that's a fact. 2020 was the nut. Florida was the blind squirrel. They're going back to what they were when Mullen first got there. Are they dangerous? Sure. Are they Florida? Yeah. Can they beat you? Yeah. They're not gonna. They're 9-3, 8-4. But
this will be Mullen's test to see if he can get a quarterback. Hey, he's been known to develop quarterbacks. I think you look at Trask; he kind of developed him there. We'll see what he can do with Emory Jones.
Took him 3 years. I don't think he's got. Emory Jones is not that guy. You said it earlier, and I agree with you. I don't think Emory Jones takes those steps. Our Florida guy brought another guy. What was the guy's name? Richardson.
Richard, yeah, their backup quarterback. Yeah,
he said that he thought that was going to be the guy.
Nope.
I don't. They can't. They're not going to be able to run the ball. They lost too much production.
Let me ask you a trivia question, Matt. And Robert. Yeah. How many times has Florida played Missouri since Missouri joined the SEC?
Well, I'd have to say every year since they've been in the same division.
Yeah. So how many is that?
What, 8 or 9?
It's 10. They played 10 times.
Yeah.
Florida, Missouri played 10 times. What is Florida's record against Missouri in those 10 games?
5-5.
Bingo. 5-5.
That's why we're having this show about these two teams, Kentucky and Missouri. They're weird. They've gotten weird. It used to be a throwaway game. When Missouri, not Missouri, Kentucky used to be a throwaway game. They're not. Missouri, they came in from the Big 12. Oh, they're soft. They're all offense, no bite. Shit. What happened their first couple of years they were in the SEC East? They won it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, these teams are, we're giving respect Missouri and Kentucky here. That's what is the underlying theme of this show.
On the other hand,
could they beat Florida? Yeah, but I just pick one. They're not going to lose. Florida is not going to lose to both Kentucky or Missouri.
How many times has Kentucky beaten Florida in your lifetime?
One
and
a half times.
I think it's twice. I think because we're old. We're old people, Matt. But I think that Kentucky's something like 2-37 or 2-38 or something.
I know that when Kentucky beat them, what was it, 2-3 years ago? It had been the first time since about 86 or 87.
Well, I was right once. I was born in 91, so.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's fun to talk about. But I hate stats like that because that doesn't mean anything.
Well, I'm just saying. Why are we going to hang our hats on Kentucky when?
I just feel like they're a tougher team. Missouri I still think they still have that Big 12 DNA.
I don't even think it's the DNA anymore. I think it's just you got to look at the factors that's building the team, right? You look at Kentucky, they have Stoops there. He's a respectable coach. He's been there for a while. He's got his system going. Drinkwitz is still getting that system going, right? So you look at that right there, and look at the players. I think Kentucky has better players.
I do too. I agree. Like Missouri is
at least more athletic.
Missouri is like a yellow jacket. They will sting you and sting you and sting you, and every once in a while you might drop one. But Kentucky, we've already said it. They will beat your ass. They will beat you up. They may not win the game, but you're gonna know you were in a back alley fight. And every once in a while, that street fighter wins that fight.
Yeah. Just remember the last 2 games we played, they were ugly, like ugly games.
Mm-hmm. That's true. 21-0 and the 14-3 game.
Well, remember, guys, that the 21-0 game.
It was nothing to nothing.
21-0 game.
Yeah, it was nothing to nothing halfway through the third quarter. Right?
Yeah. Could they beat Florida? Sure, but I tell you what, they're gonna lose to Arkansas.
Okay,
I think so. Pitt Boss has got that place rocking.
That's my West team. Go Suey Pig.
If we are saying,
I'm calling Arkansas middle of the pack. But still, that's considering where they've been the past several years. That's pretty good.
If Missouri starts 5-1, they will squeak out a win. Well, maybe not squeak out, but they'll get a win against Vanderbilt and South Carolina in the second half of their season to get at least bowl eligible.
Yep.
Go 7-5. I think 7-5 is a reasonable expectation.
Yep.
For Missouri.
I think so too.
If somebody told me they went 8-4, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah, because you beat Arkansas, so yeah.
It's the same story for both teams that we're talking about tonight. We're comfortable 7-5 Missouri. We're comfortable 8-4 Kentucky, but you wouldn't be shocked if it shifted one game. It's 6-1, half dozen of the other.
Right. Right.
It seems like we agree. We feel like Kentucky is, a step or half a step closer than Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't. I'm not going to wake up and sweat bullets if Missouri proves that wrong and they say no, it's actually us.
Right.
We're going to get that win. We weren't supposed to.
We'll find out second week of the season. I mean, it's right up front. We'll get to see Missouri and Kentucky bang heads second week of the season. It'll be a good game. It'll be worth watching. See if we're all right.
Well, honestly, it's worth keeping up with them every week because it's so early in the season when they play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's still so much more football to play. I think you have to see what happens. Go through the whole year and see what happens.
So I can't remember. Remind me. Did we say Kentucky would start off 4-2 and Missouri would start off 5-1? Is that
yes?
And it looks like Missouri will come on stronger in the second half, and I'm sorry, Kentucky will come on stronger in the second half, and Missouri will fade a little bit.
Well, Missouri's got a tougher back half anyway, so yeah.
Right. Sure. Kentucky's tough.
Got that middle.
Got that fat middle, right? And then Missouri's got their back loaded on their schedule. Okay. That's all the show and tell I have for tonight, boys. What else is there?
Pray for Jermaine. Pray for Jermaine.
Hashtag prayers for Jermaine. Yeah,
we will be okay. And Josh, if you're still here, I'm not being too positive. I'm being realistic. I know it sucks we lost. We lost Pickens for most of the season for the most part. I think he'll be back. You'll see him in a Georgia uniform.
Let me say this. I piggyback kind of on that point. I know we're all excited about JT Daniels Christ and this passing game and Todd Monken. These losses, these 2 kids we just lost, there's no positive way to spin it. But let's not forget about the running game, y'all. What if the running game just improves a little bit? What if we can just run the ball?
It's going to do that in general.
Let's do that. And then if that's the case, if I can trust Zeus and Cook and McIntosh and Milton, give me something I can rely on week in, week in, I don't need to hang my hat on just the passing game. I know we want to see it. We want to be Alabama. We want to be LSU from 19. Great. Everybody does. Why can't we just find a comfortable medium now that we know what we're dealing with and get those tight ends involved? Get that offensive line to gel and get that running game going again, which is what Georgia's known for.
Well, I think our offensive system, you're going to have your running backs, but it's becoming more of an offensive, it's more of a pass offense. And as weird as this sounds, it's what we need to stay basically to stay where we are and to get to that next level in NCAA. The college football game has changed. You can't. You look back 5 years ago, elite running back or 2 or 3 like we had, and you had your solid defense that you couldn't do anything on, won you national titles. That is not the case anymore. It's all pass happy with solid running backs. Look, Najee Harris did it all, right? Did it all. Our plethora of backs will get it done. You'll see the tight ends utilized a lot more, and we'll spread the ball out. And I think that's what's going to take us into the playoffs.
Cool.
I hope.
I hope you're right. Matt and I are just old people, right? And if you live long enough, you'll
the Donnan era, yeah.
The dogs will beat the love out of you.
The golf era. I don't even want to talk. I mean, yeah, it's just we're almost conditioned. I'll say this: the last two teams, Bama, LSU, respectively, people who make their living talking about this game say those are the two greatest offensive teams of all time. That is now where the bar is. That's where the bar is. You got to be some of the greatest teams of all time. Without Pickens, without Burton, I don't know if we can say that we're that.
If you get good production and spread it out evenly, I'll take that over 1,000-yard receiver.
I'll take a natty.
Yeah, whatever gets a natty. As I like.
If we have to, like last Boy Scout, pull out a pistol while we're running and shoot somebody, whatever it takes, just give me that trophy so that I can put the 1980 crowd to bed.
Yeah, I was.
More or less the Tennessee fans, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
got it.
I was 1 year old when Georgia won their last national championship.
I wasn't even thought of.
There you go. Okay, boys. Hey, listen.
Fun show. Thanks for coming on, bro. Robert.
Yeah.
Nice to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm gonna put your stuff back up here, just so everybody can take a look at it. Folks, check out Robert's podcast here, dgdogcast.buzzsprout.com. Make sure to show this guy some love. Hopefully one of these days we'll be able to drag Caleb's carcass back on here, and we can talk about like dog creators, and maybe we can drum up some more. Who knows?
Where you from and who's your squad?
Exactly. Where you from? Who's your squad? Hopefully the squad will be Georgia, and then we can talk about where you're from. Anyway, this was super fun. Thank you, Robert, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
And we will. Last order of business. Since you're here, you get to pick who we do next week. Now, here's what you need to know. We've done everybody in the East. We've done Auburn and the two Mississippi schools. So that leaves you with A&M, LSU, Bama. Is that it? No, who am I missing? There's one more. Arkansas. Oh, we did Arkansas. So Bama, LSU, and A&M. Those are your three choices. Who would you like to hear from next week?
Just one, right?
You get to pick one.
Ooh. Let's see here. That's a good one. Oh man. Ooh, you put me on the spot. Let's go LSU.
LSU. Pending any additional news we get from
the federal investigation.
Be prepared for the 2-hour show with several breaking news information.
Yeah. We might be the dudes who break the news. They burned that school to the ground and covered the ground with salt, and Baton Rouge has been flooded, and that's the end of the program.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
All right, so we're going to talk about LSU and the Bayou Bengals, the corn dog themselves.
The corn dog. Get up on right here. I'm on here.
All right.
That's Casey.
Now, if anything happens with this Burton news and or whatever, if there is a need to talk Georgia specific news next week, maybe we'll shove LSU for a week.
Yeah, Georgia comes first.
Yeah, give the feds time to gather a case together. But anyway, again, Robert, super great having you here. I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose, and then Matt and I are going to wrap it up. So we will see you on the Facebook group, and I'm going to check out your podcast. I'll probably listen to a little bit of the night before bed.
Hey man, thanks
for coming, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you, buddy. Take care.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, Matt. Any last words, sir?
Yeah. Again, tying in with the theme of tonight's show for those who are still with us at the 1 hour and 20 minute mark, and I know there's a lot of you. it's not going to shock me or surprise me if either Missouri or Kentucky take that next step, get that one win they don't typically get, and do the 9-3 deal. It's not going. I'm comfortable with 8-4. I'm comfortable with 7-5. The question is which one of them falls into that category.
Well, the big question is bowl eligible. Will they be bowl eligible?
Both of them will be bowl eligible.
Okay.
I do agree. I like the job Drinkowitz is doing with Missouri. Stoops has proven he's got a gang of street fighters. Both teams are weird and dangerous in their own ways. They're a strong middle tier, and we need that in the SEC because if these teams were both trash, you can't talk to the rest of the country about how strong the SEC is anymore. It's basically the West and Georgia and sometimes Florida.
Right.
You know, we need the Missouris and the Kentuckys of the world to hold their own, you know, to carry their water so that we can continue to bash the ACC and the Big 10, the Big 12. I would say the Pac-12, but they're irrelevant over the head. But the fact that we're just better than you, it just means more. That's the SEC. It's just another week in the SEC, baby. Can't say that unless we have these teams like we talked about tonight make some stride.
Right on.
And I think they will. And I'm not going to be surprised if one of those two teams that we talked about tonight beats a Florida or a. I don't want to say Georgia, but man, I'm getting sour with all the news that keeps trickling from spring practice. 2 weeks in, 2 guys down. What's next?
I guess we'll find out. All right. Let's call it a night, folks. We'll see you next Tuesday, 9:30, where we will discuss potentially the corn dog. All right.
LSU tentatively, unless some major news. If Burton has structural damage in his knee, you can expect the doom and gloom Georgia show.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for leaving all the comments, folks. Really appreciate that. Shout out to Robert once again. Check out his stuff, DG Dogcast, buzzsprout.com. Make sure to give him a like, share, and subscribe as well. And I'm speaking for my buddy Matt here. We'll see all of you folks, I don't know, next Tuesday, I guess.
Next Tuesday.
Yep. Take her easy.